Mike G joins the show to discuss all things Auburn football. Let's go. Yes, sir. What's up to my Auburn family? What's up to the Up Tempo gang? Latest edition of the Up Tempo podcast. And my guy, Mike G from the War Report coming over to help out. And Mike, I want to thank you, buddy, because as you can hear, my voice is going out. We're fighting a sickness here. So I'm going to let you play. I'm just going to play quarterback today, buddy. Like Jackson Arnold, I just got to get my playmaker the ball.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Look, man, your voice is probably going out because you're probably sick of people who don't know what they're talking about commenting on the Auburn Tigers. This version of the Auburn Tigers, Dustin, I think has the chance to be one of the best that we've seen in the last 15 years. I said this repeatedly this summer, and, you know, I do a ESPN 106.7 on every Thursday afternoon. Please go check out my good friend Doug Amos over there. But he asked me about this roster, and I told him, I said, this is the most talented roster we've seen in the last 25 years by composite star. And he said, oh, you're setting a very high bar. I said, look, you can't fall into the trap of thinking because past seasons were disappointed that we can't acknowledge the level of talent that exists on this roster. Now, will they perform to the levels of some of the teams we've seen in the last 25 years? They've still got to write their story. Their story is yet to be written, but that doesn't change the fact that the potential is there. The talent is there. Hugh Freeze, if he's done anything, he's done a good job of getting dogs, man. And boy, has Auburn caught up. And in their first two games, Dustin, these first 2 weeks, that's what stands out to me. It's Auburn looked more talented than Baylor, didn't they? Right? Like, you know, and they were obviously more talented than Ball State, but when you're as talented as Auburn is, that's when you get those crazy results like -3 yards rushing. Come on, man. They held a whole college football team to negative yards in a single aspect of the game. I think that there's more of that on the way. Right now, this is the best rush defense in the conference, one of the best in the country. And, you know, it's going to be about whether they can catch the offense up to the level that the defense has been playing for a few years now.
You know, the pregame speech from the Ball State game kind of went viral because Hugh was pretty fired up. It was a great speech.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, you know, definitely go check that out. It's all over all of Auburn's football social media stuff. But it's funny because the day before I put out an episode and I titled it, "This version of Hugh Freeze just seems more confident than the previous 2 years." And did we not pick that up at SEC Media Days, Mike, when we were there? Like, he felt like the first 2 years, it was kind of the talent gap talk. And boy, he came in SEC Media Days like contend for championships, throwing it down. He wasn't hesitant. It seemed like a different Hugh Freeze. And these first two games, it feels like just a continuation of that to me. Like, he seems like he's got a cup full of juice. He's ready to roll.
Yeah, look, I noted in my interactions with him in person that he has a different feel about him.
Mm-hmm.
He feels more confident. He feels happier. He feels excited. He feels hopeful. And these first 2 years, I think, were really hard on him. Now, he had some things going on personally, but according to him, that didn't have much of an effect because he's felt good. And there's a lot of pressure. This job doesn't come without pressure. There's no job worth having at the college football level that doesn't come without a ton of pressure. If you have the potential to be paid $6 million or more these days, then there are expectations that come along with that money. And those expectations are simple: win and win more than your rivals. So
there's another coach in the state figuring out about that right now, Mike.
Yeah, look, man, I had a chance to question him about that specifically, that coach, his first SEC Media Days, and he kind of just looked at me. I was talking about this with my good friend Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered. He was right next to me when I asked Kalen the board, and he said, football's football. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not really, though. What you guys were playing in the pack is different than this SEC stuff. And I think he's learning that lesson right now. You're absolutely right. It's harder because the expectation at Alabama has been playoff. And what did he do in his first year? He missed the playoff.
Yes, sir.
And he lost to Vanderbilt. Come on, man. If you're Hugh Freeze, it wasn't lost on you because you coached in the SEC before. You understand what the expectations are. But dissimilar from Ole Miss. The expectations are championship at Auburn because you have won championships at Auburn before. Ole Miss hasn't even sniffed an SEC championship game, even in their better years. So if you're Auburn, you've won SEC championships, you won SEC West championships, you've won national championships, you've gone to national title games, you've had undefeated seasons, you've produced Heismans, all recent accomplishments. Things recruits today, Dustin, would remember. They remember Cam Newton, right? You know, some of these kids kind of get, I'm dating myself, but they're kind of getting on the edge where they may not remember 2004. But they remember.
Yeah, they're there. They're there.
Yeah, they still remember 2010. They remember, 2017. They remember that this Auburn team is a team that can and should win championships. And so I think that Hugh Freeze is maybe even letting himself believe that his team may be where they should be for them to do that. Now, I want to take you back, not this past spring, but the spring before. Auburn had just beat Florida in the SEC tournament in basketball. Yeah. Hugh Freeze was on the floor, and I saw him. I said, "Coach, when can Auburn fans expect your next SEC championship?" He said, "I need 2 more recruiting classes, Mike." He said, "The portal is not the way to build a program. It's a way to patch a program, but this thing has to be done from high school." And he has always pointed to year 3 as pivotal in that process. And here we are in year 3, and they've opened with a big win on the road versus Baylor. He seemingly has his quarterback. The defense is holding serve again, and they may have it all put together. Now, the schedule sets up well. You've heard me say this a ton this offseason as well, too. I said this is the best schedule he could have prayed for in year 3 with the disappointing results they got in years 1 and 2. Now, after Georgia, Auburn should clean that slate before the Iron Bowl. I'm sorry. Beat Missouri, beat Arkansas, beat Kentucky, beat Vanderbilt, beat Mercer. And you are in contention for the playoff come November.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious challenge there when you get to that point is you just can't have those slip-ups that you've had the first 2 years, and we'll see if Hugh Freeze can keep the boys on track and avoid that, Mike. But we're 2 games into this Jackson Arnold experiment. Just what are your overall thoughts on his play so far? 2 very different games that we've seen, right? Obviously, run heavy game 1, he ran for over 130 yards, and then week 2 versus Ball State, he doesn't run the ball hardly at all. At least it wasn't called for him to run. He had a couple of scrambles and then 28 pass attempts. So 2 very different things. Still a small sample size, but what do you make of the Auburn starting quarterback?
Look, man, Jackson Arnold is a 5-star quarterback, period. Now, we saw him, he kind of debuted in that first bowl game at Oklahoma where he threw for I think 4 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions, but 400 yards. I mean, it was a pretty good debut for him, and you could see the potential was there. And I like, his debut at Oklahoma, it kind of reminded me of Mac Jones in that 2019 Iron Bowl. He threw for 4 touchdowns, but 2 pick sixes. And those pick sixes ended up being the difference in that game. However, I left that game thinking Alabama's going to be all right with Mac Jones as quarterback. He made some mistakes, but I felt like it was clear that him and Jalen Waddle looked like a video game player out there.
Yeah, 4 tutties that day.
Oh, good God. Yeah. And they lost. But I said they're going to be okay. And I got that feeling the first time I saw Jackson Arnold in his freshman year in that bowl game. Now, his first year at the helm, there were a lot of things wrong with Oklahoma, man. I don't know how many times we have to say this. Going back to the Baylor kid from Locked On Baylor that was saying all the stuff, to believe what he said about Jackson Arnold, you had to ignore all the things around Jackson Arnold last year that went wrong. His whole receiver room got hurt. Dustin, do you know how anomalous it is for everybody first and second string to get hurt in a single position group? That's crazy.
I know when I saw that Oklahoma's offensive line and wide receiver group both ranked behind 125th, 130th in PFF grade, I said to myself, I don't know what to make of this. Truthfully, I can't condemn the kid and I can't boost him up. To me, it was just a big question mark.
Yeah. I mean, the O-line, obviously, I think I saw a graphic that said Their O-line missed a combined 50 starts last year. They fired the offensive
Yeah,
coordinator
yeah, it was
mid-season.
terrible.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
just a
terrible.
lot of things. And then Brett Venables goes to SEC Media Days. You were there with us and said, "Hey, man, none of this was on Jackson." But the Oklahoma fans who didn't want to believe they were as dysfunctional as they were last year, and the Baylor fans who wanted to make themselves feel better about the chances they had in that football game, espoused a narrative that put most of that on Jackson Arnold when almost none of it was on Jackson Arnold. Now he's in a better situation with really, really good receivers. And what you've seen through 2 games, which is very interesting to me, is Auburn hasn't thrown the ball a ton through two games. But defensive coordinators are respecting it in spite of them not
Yes.
doing it,
Yes.
because they understand that if they oversell to the run, Cam Coleman's going to get you. Malcolm Simmons is going to get you. Eric Singleton is going to get you, right? Perry Thompson, Horatio Fields, these guys are going to get you. And so I expect to see more of that. I think when they face off against Oklahoma in 2 weeks, you're going to see them say, you know what? Which poison do we want to pick? Do we want the Auburn run game, and they have the horses to force Auburn to be more than just one dimensional. Baylor didn't have the horses to do it, despite what Oklahoma Baylor dude said on every podcast that will let him talk. They never had the players to stop Auburn from doing what they wanted to do in that game. Oklahoma does, though. And so if you're Auburn, you've got to find some kind of balance, which is what we saw them try to work out versus Ball State. It was, let's force the issue on the pass. And what was the result? 24-28 passing. Efficient. And they didn't have to test it downfield. You know why? Because Ball State they played so far off. They were just respecting the fact that Auburn can take the top off you.
Yeah, they were terrified of it.
You. And what did Auburn do? They didn't force the issue, man. They just took what was in front of them, and it may have not looked flashy, but the big plays were still there, and you scored. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I think Jackson Arnold does not have to be Superman in this system, and that's the beauty of what Hugh Freeze built. He took a couple of years. He waited a lot. He got criticized last year for not going out and getting a quarterback in the portal, but that decision looks better if Jackson Arnold takes you to the playoffs this year. Waiting was better. And I know for a fact the internal strategy was, let's spend the money elsewhere. Let's not go and blow $2-3 million on a portal QB. Let's stack the deck around them, and then let's go out and get a guy like Jackson Arnold, who, we're going to have to pay him, but we don't have to pay him like $3 million. And he's going to be really good. What did Jackson Arnold say after the game? I got 2 questions in the post game, and in the last question, I asked Jackson Arnold. I said, "Can you talk about your relationship with Coach?" And he said, "Look, man, he believed in me when a lot of others wouldn't." That's a dangerous thing for the rest of the SEC. Is that Jackson Arnold and Hugh Freeze are not only on the same page, these guys are thankful for each other, man.
That was my next question to you, was just the connection. Like it's felt like in years past, this is not shade or anything, but it felt like when things were being said about we're on the same page, and then we saw throughout the week interviews and stuff where they weren't on the same page. It's like, no, the quarterback and head coach are not on the same page. I don't care what they say. You could feel it feels different this year. They're doing post games together. Mike Hugh sitting right next to Jackson. Like, it just feels like this connection is real, and it feels like it's no BS. They needed each other. They kind of knew that, and it feels like there's really something between Hugh and Jackson.
I couldn't agree more. Look, I've got the beat on this team. There are certain players that I talk to that will remain anonymous, but they've told me what the culture is like. They've told me what the feeling is like. They've told me what the mood of the team is like. And this is a team that believes in itself. And, I can't say that was true in years past, but this year it's taken some time for everybody to see Hugh Freeze's vision for what this could become to fruition. And now it's here. And I'll tell you what, you go out and you get one of these first 2 road games in the SEC, and you're in a prime position. Like, think about if Auburn wins Texas A&M or Oklahoma, think about how big that Georgia game is going to be.
Yes, man.
Right? A 1-loss Auburn team headed into mid-October with a chance to take down a top 5 team in Georgia at home. What a way to announce to college football, Auburn is back. and we're not going anywhere. So, look, there's a lot riding on this. Now, personally, what I would love to see is that they take care of Oklahoma and Texas A&M on the
Yeah,
road, and if they lose to Georgia and that's their first loss, they'll be if they take down those two in consecutive weeks. I think they'll still be a top 15 team no matter what happens against Georgia. So Baylor on the road, like 3 P4 road wins
right.
in 6 games. Come on, man, Dustin. This
Yeah.
has a chance to be something special. And if you're an Auburn fan, I just want to say it's okay to let yourself hope. There's a lot of pessimism in our comment section. I'm like, look, dude, I get it. People are going to say, oh, you're just bugging or you're being a homer. And I'm like, no, I think hope is okay in this scenario because the talent is there.
Yeah. When you look at like those 3 game stretch there with A&M or Oklahoma, A&M, and then Georgia, I've always felt like with the Baylor game being such a big swing game, I said all summer, you get that win versus Baylor. Even yes, we want Auburn to win all of them. Even if you just win one of those 3, Mike, you come
Yeah.
out 4-2, and then
Yeah.
you're on the back end of that schedule that you've talked about all season. Like you're still sitting pretty. You're
Yeah.
still good to go. You should still run through and get to Oklahoma with 2, or to Alabama, I mean, with 2 losses. So even if you just win one of those 3, you're still okay. You're still
Yeah.
good to go.
But if you get 2 of the 3,
Yeah. Oh
then
yeah.
you
Oh
can
yeah.
afford to slip and still
Right.
be in prime position to make this Iron Bowl one of the highest stakes Iron Bowls that we've seen in recent years. So, look, man, every game you win, you get a little bit closer to that goal, Dustin. And if you're Hugh Freeze, now you didn't want to let yourself say it out loud, but Auburn was always supposed to be in the playoffs in year 3.
Mm.
It seemed like that was a far off goal because of how years 1 and 2 went, but that the truth is, and we got laughed at a lot when we said this last year after last season, they were so close to something special last year in a 5-7 season. Go back and look at what the defense was able to do. Nobody ran away from Auburn on the scoreboard. And now that there's just a little bit more offense, they're winning those games that they would have lost last year. So look, I mean, they've got dogs, man. That's all I can tell you is these guys have a dog mentality, and Jackson Arnold to Cam Coleman. Those are 2 5-star recruits playing pitch and catch out there.
Yeah.
Come on, this is it's okay to hope. It is absolutely okay to hope and say, hey, I believe in what this team can do because you know what that tightness that fans bring into the stadium. It keeps them quiet in the fourth quarter instead of yelling at the top of their lungs because they're sitting there hoping that Auburn doesn't blow it instead of hoping that Auburn is going to do the impossible or the seemingly impossible.
You're so right on that. I mean, I was sitting in the stands for Cal and Arkansas last year, and it felt intimate. You felt like it's about to drop. It's about to happen. You're 100% right on that, Mike. I know you gotta get out of here, buddy. One more before we go. I hesitate to call it a tune-up game, but you got one more game here before you really kind of hit the gauntlet in SEC play. South Alabama team coming up from Mobile. They're going to be fired up. You saw a team that I think is a very good team. Last week in LSU kind of struggled to get through with an in-state opponent. They had Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
What are you expecting to see this Saturday? And what are some things that you're looking at? What do you want Auburn to improve? Is there anything you want Auburn to improve upon, to get better at? Is there anything that you still haven't seen in these first 8 quarters of Auburn football that would make you feel a little bit better as we head to Norman the following weekend?
Yeah, look, Monday I was talking to Andy Burcham, and he said that South Alabama is going to be a much tougher test than Ball State
Oh yeah.
was.
Oh yeah.
Look, I don't expect Auburn to hang 60 or 70 on them. I think that this is a game you should win handily. And I mean, look, man, if the game ends up being like 35-7, I'm okay with it. Run your offense, stay healthy, headed into Oklahoma. At this point, I think people understand that Auburn is a talented team, but you don't really have anything to prove in terms of your toughness or, get healthy, right? I would like to see them hold Damari out.
I agree.
Um, what I want to see from Auburn is that they come in, come in with a business-like approach to this, Dustin, and they take care of business, and they don't let hope is a dangerous thing. You just heard me talk about letting yourself hope if you're an Auburn fan. But what you don't want to do is you don't want a team like South Alabama to come into your house and think that they're going to get a win, and step on the neck early, put them away early, and move on. So play every game like it's your Super Bowl, and this comes down to preparation and coaching. Can Hugh Freeze keep his team focused on the task in front? Now, you and I, we're talking about Oklahoma and playoffs and all that stuff, but I want to be clear: the team is focused on nothing but the next Saturday. Right. So the next Saturday is South Alabama. I want to see them just look focused, and I want them to treat South Alabama like they're Alabama. Okay. And and treat every win like you're playing your in-state rival, like you're taking down Nick Saban. And if you can play like that, you'll have a chance in every single game. This is a game about focus. I don't know that I care that Auburn passes a certain amount or runs a certain amount. Look, man, I think Jackson Arnold can pass the ball. These guys have been working on that all summer. Like, I'm not so sure that you need to show anything in this game. At this point, everything you need on tape is on practice tape. Just go out there and perform in the game. That's it. And if that means passing the ball a certain amount, great. If not, then it is what it is.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, that's kind of the main thing for me I'm looking at too. It's just focus. Like, I'm with you. I'm not looking for a certain amount of passes or a certain guy to get a certain amount of receptions or rushing attempts or anything like that. I just want to see Auburn come out and dominate the game and handle their business and look like that Nick Saban approach you heard for so long. Yeah. Nameless, faceless opponent. We show up every single week, and you only get 12 of these. If you're a college football player, you only get 12. You only get so many games in front of the home crowd. So, like, why wouldn't you be fired up? So, to me, that would kind of show me that the next step of maturity in this team is not coming out versus these kind of opponents and looking ahead and not having, like, I think a lot of what happened to LSU was they had a massive win the week before over Clemson.
Yeah.
And that was something that I was impressed with last week with Auburn over Ball State. I was like, okay, we talked all summer about the Baylor game, and then Auburn comes out and gets the win in big time fashion, double digits, ran the ball down their throat. That's kind of the thing that I want to see now. First time, Mike, since 2021, Auburn's ranked. We're all talking positive all week. Everybody in the Auburn media space is booging. It's all good vibes. Don't you come around and be in a 10-point game in the fourth quarter with the Jags. Yeah. Come out, handle business, and do what you got to do. If Auburn does that, it will show me a lot about the leadership on this team, the maturity on this team, and just the attitude that they have moving forward. Mike, what's going on at the War Report, man? Tell everybody where they can find you, what y'all got going on this week.
Follow us at the War Report, every social media platform. Subscribe on YouTube, become a patron. Our game day experience, lots of patron-only content in there. Hopefully, Ike will be on the road to Norman here in a couple weeks as well, so your support helps make that possible. Follow me at Mike Gittens on every social media platform, at Mike Gittens _ on Instagram. So we appreciate the support.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate you, Mike. You guys do us a favor. Like the video. Subscribe if you have not done that already. Tag me on social media. Share this. Tag me at DMcShaw28. Tag the War Report Podcast Network. And tag my guy, Mike G. Mike, thank you, buddy. It was a struggle for you to get through this one today. For our members, I got some content dropping for y'all. Give me another day or two to get my voice back, and I'll get that cranked out for y'all. Preview show for the South Alabama game dropping Friday, 9 a.m. in the morning. You guys be there. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Hey, man, there's a lot of hate in this world. Tell somebody that you know that's close to you that you love them. It's War Damn Eagle. We'll see you on the next one.